Hey guys, King Kaiji here. Today we're going to be doing a review, something I haven't done in a while, but it's going to be of a very special figure. Untitled Majungasaurus. This is a figure that a lot of people are looking forward to, myself included, and when we officially got to see it, I had a very mixed reaction. I thought that it looked really nice, but I also thought that it had a lot of strange colorations. But now that I have it here in person, I actually think it looks a lot better. But yeah, let's actually review it. So I'm going to start out with detail on this figure, and it is really good. You can't really see it that well because of the lighting. I don't know why it's so dark, but I might have to fix that in editing. But the detail on this figure is really good. You can see a lot of the scales that are placed in, especially on the jaw, and it is hard to see. Okay, there it goes. You can see all the individual scales that are sculpted. Sadly, on these little parts right here, there's not a ton of detail, but I think that's just because they're individual pieces of plastic. On these parts too, they're not really detailed that much, but I'm not really going to be looking at those a lot, so it doesn't really matter. The detail kind of fades out along the body. The face is really where it's all at. There's a lot of individual like marks and such on it though, and while scales are usually better, I can go with these. It's also hard to see, but there's also a lot of little scoots on the figure that are really nice. The paint doesn't go around too much to obscure the detail, but yeah. Detail on this figure is really nice. It might be hard to see, but there are no painted nails. This doesn't affect me too much, as I'm not really going to be looking at the feet. I'm not a creep. But, you know, it would have been nice if they did. I can't excuse the hands, though, because as you can see, they are incredibly small, so that would have been pretty hard for them to paint. However, the teeth are nicely painted, and the tongue is as well. Sadly, nothing on the tail whatsoever, and in fact, right around here, the body just kind of cuts off with any paint. Sadly, it is mainly just right up here along the face, but the underbelly does carry it, though, a lot. But sadly, that also cuts out too, probably because of these little spikes. But, in my opinion, it's not that bad. It's just a typical Mattel figure. And yeah, the detail in painting is pretty good. I would probably say that there are a few things that could have been done better, but that's just how Mattel rolls, you know. As for articulation, it has some pretty nice articulation. Legs can, of course, move in and out. This one's a bit tighter, but this leg can move in and out too. This one has a more stiff kind of lock joint. If you know Mattel, you know that they will sometimes put lock joints where you can move them, but they stay in one specific place and they kind of lock like that. Both of the legs have those. The arms are also articulated. They can move in and out as well and rotate pretty nicely. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the mouth can also open, so that is 9. And if you want to count the action feature, tail can move, so that's 10, and 11 with the head. But if you really want to count those as one piece, that's 10. So yeah, articulation on this figure is pretty basic, but I am a big fan of the articulation because you can get some really nice poses. For example, the arms, they fit in really well with the side of the body. They can fit really nicely along the sides, which is how an Abella sword would probably hold its arms, but if you really want to, you can hold them down too, and that also looks very nice. As for the action feature, it's the typical sound strike, where you grab onto the tail and you can thrash the head up and down, side to side, and in a bit of a circular motion. It's the exact same as the Cryolophosaurus, which I will bring out here in a minute. But yeah, this is the typical action feature. So you can open the mouth and just say my finger is, I guess, like a prey item. You can go in there and you can thrash it around, you know, typical Mattel style and just have that sucker go to town. But yeah, also speaking of the mouth, something that I forgot to mention about detail, there is a specific kind of screw up on mine to where the mouth right here is tilted down. Typically this is a straight line, it goes up into the mouth. There's not this big opening right here. I don't blame Mattel for this though. I believe it is the distributors I got this from that screwed this up. I got mine from Toy Wiz, and that I think is Mattel's not Mattel's fault. Toy Wiz's. Toy Wiz is where I got it from, and I believe this is on them because there's a lot of other problems with the package that I got. So I'm going to assume that is most likely on them. They most likely did screw this up, not Mattel. But that's not really a bad thing. As many people have told me, this actually reminds them a lot of Dinosaur Evolution's Broken Jaw, the Allosaurus. And as a person who makes a lot of series and uses dinosaurs, this could be pretty good. So if you have any name suggestions, I could add this to one of my series, and you could call it whatever you want. So far I've been thinking about Draco and such, but if you guys have a different name you would like to call it, leave it down in the comment section below. So now it is time for size comparisons. As I said before, we'll compare him next to the Cryolophosaurus. And this guy has a very, very similar action feature to where you thrash around the head, goes up and down and such. However, this one has a lot more smooth head butting feature or thrashing feature than this one, but it's not really that big of a deal. And also, as you can see, the Cryolophosaurus seems a lot larger than him. It isn't because the Cryolophosaurus is big. You'll see why later. We'll compare him next to another medium-sized figure. This isn't actually a Mattel one, but a Hasbro-made figure. Kinda. The Allosaurus. And I'm gonna have to hold him up because he cannot stand on his own. But, yeah. This Allosaurus next to the Majungasaurus. They are roughly around the same size. If anything, this one is actually longer but thinner. He is not that heavily built of a figure, while the Majungasaurus is. So I'm gonna throw him away now. Well, not throw him away, put him away. And we'll grab, if it doesn't all fall down. Okay, good. The Concavinator. Now, this is the second wave one, not the first wave, but yeah, there he is next to the Majungasaurus. We'll take him away now. Now, as you can see, the Majungasaurus is a very, very small framed figure. I would probably say it is one of the smallest medium-sized dinosaurs that they have ever produced. It is probably only outmatched by smallest in length by probably the Pteranodon, and smallest in height by the Ankylosaurus. But actually, hold on. Oh, okay, we'll see. Okay, yeah, the Ankylosaurus is actually roughly around the same height. It's a little bit shorter. But, yeah, Ankylosaurus is the shortest one, but that is kind of a given. So it is the smallest theropod. I think that's a better phrase for it. Smallest theropod that they have ever made. It is very, very short. It sees about face-to-face with actually human figures. I don't have one on me at the moment, but that is how short it is. It is a very, very small stature figure. And I didn't expect that. I expected it to be a lot larger, but I'm not that bothered by it. I don't know how accurate it would be in size. I'm pretty sure that the actual Majungasaurus was a little bit bigger than this, but don't quote me on that. But yeah. It's a very nice figure, and I'd say that it's in size. It's okay for everything else. It looks like it fits well. So yeah, in my opinion, very nicely sized indeed. So yeah, so this is my review of the Majungasaurus. In my opinion, it's a very, very nice figure, but it does have a few flaws here and there. But it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Most of them are very, very small, or are just on my figure, which is just my luck. But everything is pretty okay, and I would have to say this might actually be the best Sound Strike that I have currently. I only have the new dinosaurs, and I only expect to get the new dinosaurs. The repaints, in my opinion, are garbage. But yeah, it outranks the Cryolophosaurus just because I like in my opinion, the colors are better, and I'm a bigger fan of Majungasaurus than I am Cryolophosaurus. And the Ankylosaurus is just kind of bland in my opinion. It's a good figure, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of bland. But this guy I think sticks out a lot. And I don't have the Irritator or Sinoceratops yet, so when I get those, I'll see if I change my mind. But as of currently, I believe this is probably the best Sound Strike. And if you are to find him, try and get him. As to what I know, the lowest you can get him at the moment is I think $25, but that is in UK prices. So unless you want to wait longer and pay like £20, I think that this is probably one you might want to wait on. I myself actually paid quite a hefty penny for this. I paid about $75 for it, and that's because Toyways are sus. Don't like Toyways. If you ever order from there, make sure that you get them in a reasonable price, unlike I did. I'm just a very large fan of this figure, and I have a very sneaking suspicion that they're probably not going to come to the US. Usually when figures come to the UK first, it's very rare that we ever see them in the United States after that. So I didn't want to take my chances, and I wanted to get this figure while I could. And I can say that the money is pretty worth it. Overall, I'd probably give this a 4.5 out of 5. There are a few small issues here and there, like for example, the claws not painted, and the lack of paint. Pretty much, there's just a lot of lack of paint. But that's just kind of how Mattel rolls, and it's not that big of a deal for me. So in my opinion, yeah, 4.5 out of 5 is a good score. If you were to see this, get it. But yeah, that's all I have to say. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.